Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and guess what? It's just me and you.
And I am all you need.
That's right. That's what you tell me every day.
Yes, don't you forget it. I'm going to always show up for you, Sybil, no matter what.
And you prove that every day. That
Other
is
people come and go.
in and out and
Right.
in. But no, you are
I'm
here
right here.
to stay.
Yep.
Yolanda Starks White and I are here and to talk about the what's really going on, what's why what you need to know, why you need to know, and talk a little bit of entertainment and give you a little bit of insight into our lives through our conversations. I find that when we do that, we share much more than I intended.
Oh,
But
good. I'm
yeah,
interested.
okay, all right. Why are you interested? Oh, you got your hair done today.
I did get my hair done.
It looks cute.
See the little gray?
Yeah, but it's really pretty.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you.
You like it?
I do. I
Good.
do like it. I was telling Miss Barbara today that I was bald headed for like 25
You
years.
were never bald headed.
Actually, a couple of times I did cut my hair down really, really, really
Right,
low.
but that was your choice. That was,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Oh, I did not mean to imply
You
that. Right.
had hair that covered your head.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That's disrespectful. Um
Although you did have a guy that asked you why you wore scarves all the time. You remember that you went on a date?
Oh, Scribble. Let me tell you something. Oh, okay. Forget that story. Let me tell you this other story right quick. So when my niece was in Houston, this is awful. Ward's not here. I don't know if he gonna watch this show. So, when I was in Houston, and when I was taking my niece, I was picking her up from the she was having surgery.
Uh-huh.
So this one lady, she looked at me and she looked at my ring and she said, "Oh God, that's a beautiful ring." And I said, "Oh, thank you." She said, "Well, it's kind of like mine. This is my divorce ring." And so I said, "Well, congratulations." And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Well, you
Well,
obviously
isn't that, yeah,
very
you were
happy, so
celebrating.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good for you." She said, "I never looked at it like that." I was like, "Girl, yes. Whenever you get the courage to do things that make you happy, you celebrate those and just don't look at all of the other bad stuff." So we were talking, and so she says, "Well, you're married?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Girl, next month it'll be 20 years." She said, "20 years?" I said, "That's what I say." Simple,
Every
simple.
day.
She said 20 years. I was like, "Girl, can you imagine the same DICK for 20 years and that's it?" And so she's like, "Ooh,
That's why
maybe."
I'm divorced. That's why.
She said, "Ooh, maybe that does sound good." She's like, "No, I can't." She's like, I was like, "You realize how many men out there? The worst part about being married is that you can't date other men, and there's so many men out there."
Unless you come with that understanding. Yeah, you're right. You're
And,
right.
and not enough people have that understanding. Sybil, it is too many men out there. For 20 years, you just go be with one man?
Did you think about that before you got married the second
I did
time?
not. I did not.
Would you have put that in the
Well, let
in
me tell
the
you something. I wouldn't have, but I'm telling you, and this is what I told her. To be honest with you, Ward White was such a great catch.
Mhm.
And I was living in this bondage of religion
Mhm.
that to have sex, you got to be married without guilt because you can't have sex. Because you have sex, and when you're done, you get on your knees and start praying. Men don't like that.
The afterglow is really ruined by that, isn't it?
Yeah, girl, men do not like that. I was like, well, dang, let's go on and get married. But no, for real, he was such a great guy. I just wanted him. And I honestly,
I know.
along with most of the people with the Tom Joyner morning show, didn't think it would last.
Yeah, money was not on the second marriage.
It was
No,
not.
no, no.
Girl, I had a good 3 or 4 or 5 years max in me.
Yeah.
But I just like this guy, Sybil. I really like him. And
Would he say the same thing about you?
yeah, he
I
does
think
say
he
that.
will. I think he
He
will.
does say that. We are surprised how much we like. He just told me the other day, he just says, "I just love the way you make me feel." I was like,
Mm.
"Really?" Because I think I'm a horrible wife. And he's like, no,
Well, it's not that. It's not the it's not the cooking or the
no,
cleaning.
no.
Well, no, you're the cleaner. You really are
Well,
the cleaner.
along with Angelina.
But
I'm
you
just, I'm just,
but
I
but when
order her.
Angelina doesn't come, you are the one to
Yes.
go in and sweep
And the
and
laundry,
the
yes.
baseboards and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But girl, I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you make me feel really great. And I was like, oh my goodness.
But
Because
you do, and not to
because he
take
is
anything
great.
away from Ward, but you do that with everyone. You
Oh,
make
that's hilarious.
no, it's true because even people, I'm like, she says that really? Okay, all right, okay. And then they walk around and they're like, yeah, you heard what she said.
Well,
What she said, and then I'm
for
like,
the record, and I mean it. If I say it, I mean it. I am
mhm,
genuine.
yeah, okay.
But anyway, I forgot what I was telling you.
No, we were talking about well, you started talking about the divorce ring and all that kind of stuff, but we were talking about your hair and the when you during your dating days and you
Yes.
went to lunch with this guy and you came back and you're like, can you believe he said,
Girl, how ignorant is that? Because you know what? What if I had cancer? Oh, but God, man.
that was his question.
Okay, but Sybil, you know what? Hold on. Let me rethink this. I'm going to have to add an epilogue to this conversation with this lady because now that I'm thinking about it, you got to, that's what's out there to date.
Well, that wasn't what pushed you towards Ward because this was a short time after Ward came along.
Right.
Right.
Because I dated some good men in between. Oh, my God.
Okay. I didn't mean to start all this. Ward. I'm sorry. Ward, don't watch this show.
Yeah. But he knows.
Yeah.
But he knows that
you will tell him.
Yeah, but he knows that he's better and he is. I just never thought I'd be married this long. Godly. Yeah.
And that's a guy that you really like.
And I like him. That's the problem. I hate that I like him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's fun and he's easy and he lets me be me. So I'm gonna give you one more reason why he lets me be me. So let me tell you why I can't let him go. Because my sensitivity to scents, I can't pick up Ramsey's poop. I'm not gonna be able to do that. I can't wipe Ramsey's bottom. I cannot
after the walk
wipe.
and he
No,
comes into your house.
I can't do that. I can't wipe him. Warren's gonna have to wipe him. And Sybil, now the food, his food
He
makes
really prepares great meals for the dogs.
But when I have to do it, it makes me sick.
Right. Yeah. Because Ward, one night I was dog sitting and so I was asking about, the preparations. He goes, well, I'll put it out because, Yolanda, has this thing. And I was like, my sense of smell and taste is not really returned since I had a bad cold. But
good for you.
But I don't have that. I have a gag reflex, but not because of that.
You didn't say you didn't say I'm not as sorry as my girlfriend.
No, I would
I'll
never
make the
say
damn
that.
food for the dog.
No, I would never say that. I was like, so I just take this and I put it here, and he goes, yeah. No problem.
Sybil, you ain't shit.
No. But you are such a much better wife than I would ever be. I think I'm a better girlfriend, but you are a better wife.
Why would you think you're a better girlfriend than a wife?
Because it's a short-term thing for me, and I don't require a lot in long term. Like I like short meet and greets, and then I can then I can move on to the next. I don't need long term. I don't need, and so, but anyway.
Well, so I'm lucky to be with you for 30 years.
You really are.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. A lot of my friends will say, whatever happened to? Yeah.
You're a silly girl.
You used to be, yeah. You're
a silly girl.
You're really lucky.
I'll take it.
And you and all of your puffing people up. You're just the greatest. You're the smartest. You're the cutest.
I'm not sure that I puff people up, Sybil.
Yolanda.
Sybil, that is, you cannot characterize.
Let me count the ways.
Okay, never mind.
You know I
Whoa!
can.
What about the What You Need to Know newsletter? Boy, it was really good today.
It was great today. It was great today. Thank you for that. So we are talking about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is the newsletter that we put together. Actually, Yolanda was the steamroller behind all of this, and we take stories and we curate them and bring them to you and tell you what you need to know in shorthand fashion and the why you need to know this. And so it is an absolutely free newsletter. So please go to sybilwilkes.com if you'd like to be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew and give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And we have politics, we have health, we have mental health and wellness, social justice, and LGBTQ plus, as well as other items used to have on the old Tom Dorner show. Little No Black History Fact and HBCU Corner, which we have now brought into our newsletter, and we have Yogi's Jewel, and we have birthdays. So
that's a lot.
A lot. It's a lot
in one day.
In one day.
So I don't think we have told this story, and we don't tell it enough. How we got to this, what you need to know, is because I am not nearly as informed and don't want to be as you are. And just because, my heart can't take what happens in the world, really. And so every day when you would get off of work and you would call me, on your ride home, and whenever we would catch up, I was like, okay, Sybil, tell me what I need to know today. Because I wasn't going to read 3 and 4 newspapers and magazines and look at every news channel and all of that. But
because you had a life.
Well,
really, honestly.
Judge Judy wasn't going to watch herself.
Or First 48,
okay.
or the Housewives, or yeah.
And now, girl, when I tell you I am so into Wagon Train. See, I didn't see Wagon Train back in the day.
The old black and white Western?
Yes.
You are my
Sybil.
mother brought back to life. You
Sybil.
really are.
Wagon Train is so good, and there's messages in it. It is. It's really
She used to
good.
say the same thing. What she learned on Wagon Train, and I'm like,
yes, Sybil. Yes. No. Have you tried it?
Never. Honestly, I don't. I don't think I've ever watched an episode. And my mom was, Marshall Dillon. What was that?
Gunsmoke.
Rifleman.
Oh my God. So I don't see the beauty in everybody except black men. That was a Chuck Connors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. He was a gorgeous white man.
So Festus didn't do it for you, huh?
No, Festus didn't do it for me. But neither did George Clooney or Brad Pitt or any of those other guys. No. Okay. But Chuck Connors?
Chuck Connor did it for you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And Wagon Train, who was the host of who was the star?
His name is Ward somebody.
Okay. I really don't.
But his name was the same name as my honey. So right. Yeah. But it's really good, Sybil. Every night I watch.
Tell the story about what you learned on, I think this was Wagon Train.
It was Wagon Train.
Okay, so tell us.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to, because everybody needs to hear it. So this episode was about this man who was in Kansas or somewhere, and they were moving west, and he died. Well, before he left, he went and got these 12 orphan boys that he was taking them for a better life on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. Well, he died en route. And so his daughter came and took up his cause. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was telling them that, no, the woman don't need to be on this road, and certainly can't handle boys. And she's like, well, why not? And so she's like, nope, this was my dad's dream. I'm going to carry my dad's dream out. So the first night, she got the boys, and they were running around doing what little boys do, pulling girls' hair, throwing sticks, and just being rambunctious like kids are. And so they came and got her, and they were like, we told you that you couldn't handle them. You need a man to come in here and handle them. And so she's like, no, I got it. So she got them, and she lined them up, and she was giving them a good talking to. Mm-hmm. So one of the old men was standing on the side, and he's like, see there? See there, that's the problem. They need something on their hide. Spare the rod or the child and all of that. And she turned around like she was talking with the kids, and she turned around and she says, why would I address their physical when it was their emotional and their mental that they were acting on?
Wow.
And that was just so powerful for me. Why, when we get upset, when we discipline, why do we have to hit to discipline? Why can't we appeal to somebody's heart? Because that's what she did. And throughout the rest of the show, she appealed to their heart. Mm-hmm. And they actually came along and got with the program, and just was beautiful examples of somebody who's loved.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Wagon train.
Who knew?
You don't. I'm just not sure that the best discipline is to physically assault someone.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Now, I wish my mother had seen that episode.
Wait, hold on.
That lesson did not go over with her, because we had a yardstick that I did my best to hide every chance I got. So
well, maybe she had PTA that night that it came on.
And we didn't have VCRs back then either.
Right. So, you're a silly girl.
so the What You Need to Know newsletter did come out of that conversation. And if I may say so, we started it before the other What You Need to Know shows started. Yeah, we started like ABC as soon, and this came along before the pandemic. And so every day we hear somebody else, here's what you need to know about the pandemic today and the coronavirus. And we're like, but we stuck with the What You Need to Know. And so that is what we do with a small group of people. We do this every day. And it's been a good ride. It's been a good ride.
It is really good.
Yeah. So, and it has grown in terms of what we are offering to people. And Aprylete Russell is the latest contributor to join, talking about mental health and wellness. And in this newsletter, she talks about concerns that school boards have about including mental health initiatives. One DeKalb County school board member says she's concerned about the future of mental health resources in the schools. Members of the board voted earlier this month to remove mental health initiatives from its list of legislative priorities. Now there's concern that mental health needs or programs are falling down on the list, falling further and further down on the list on needs or must-haves in the school districts. And you know this because of what you do, and we're trying to implement in the school districts here, and trying to get people to understand the need for mindfulness and the need for yoga and what the mindfulness that comes from yoga and those practices and what it can do for children in the classroom. And they're like, look, we need to get money for STEM programs, and we need to get money for, our football teams and things like that. And that's true. Those are important parts of the school day-to-day activities and their curriculum. But you also understood, like with this young woman that you were talking about on Wagon Train. Maybe if you had brought that along with them, they would have.
I hadn't seen it.
But to understand how our children really, and there are really good examples in school districts where they have implemented mindfulness initiatives, and the children have blossomed from it. And I dare say, if there were more mindfulness programs and starting at a younger age, we wouldn't have these shootings that are going on in the classrooms. We wouldn't have the rage that children experience in a classroom. We wouldn't have the bullying that we have experienced in a classroom, and so or on the playgrounds. And so it's sad to hear, but if you point out the need for it, and if parents come together and ask and tell people who are on the school boards or in the ISDs, the independent school districts, and tell them, right, this is what we need, then the likelihood of perhaps them at least trying it and understand and being able to see the benefits of this.
So I'm just curious, who are these people that are sitting in the room that says, this is what we need to do. Let's take this out. Well, like I'm curious because I don't like to judge off of things that I don't know.
I do that for us, yeah.
So I'm just curious. what were they thinking? Because especially with today, with more and more young people being able to identify that they are stressed
And
and that they have
anxiety.
anxiety, they're
Yeah,
able to articulate. So back in the day, I never heard of that.
right,
But if I'm telling you that my head is hurt, you can't tell me to just read a book and I'm gonna be all right, right?
right. Or pray it away.
Well, you trying to be funny about my mama? Don't be like that, Sybil.
No, I'm
Don't be
not.
like that.
I was I wasn't even thinking about your dear mama. I
Okay,
was thinking
all right.
about some other
But
people.
you know, prayer takes care of everything.
Everything. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, and there's some smart people in education. There's a lot smarter than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just be curious to hear their side of it and why this would make sense that they would not address, like if you take care of the basic needs, we would be, and not just kids, even as
Right.
adults,
Yeah.
just if the basic needs are being taken care of, then you are better to operate in whatever environment that you put in. I'm not
Yeah.
that smart. That that's that just makes sense,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's something else because
No,
when I
there's
read that, I was like, huh? And it's happening. It's not something that they're talking about doing.
right.
They're doing it.
Right. That just by the same token, they're taking away other things that, are necessary. And so if it's not coming in the classroom, are the parents equipped to bring this in the home, to have it in the home and to share with their children? Not everybody has a parent, who is equipped to talk about their feelings and to talk about, the way that they like to be treated, or use different relationships as examples. You see how he spoke to her? That's not the way we speak to people.
Right.
That's not how we are mindful of others, and as well as being mindful of how we are allowing people to speak to us.
Well, maybe we don't know about it yet because they haven't rolled it out, but there is a plan to really provide these services to parents so the parents can do what you're suggesting at home, because you're suggesting the parents do something that they are
Well,
not equipped
because
to
yeah,
do.
they're not equipped to do, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's absurd. And I hear people saying, well, you got to get it at home. Well, you didn't grow up in my house.
Right. And I was accused of not growing up, of not having a black mother, because my mom used to sing to me every morning, to
What?
to wake me up. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's,
I mean, it was a great way to, as opposed
yes.
to yelling, "Get your ass up!" It was like she used to sing,
Yes.
"You're my sunshine" every
Right,
morning, and
civil.
I miss
As opposed to get up, and just the energy behind
right.
get up, as opposed to you are my son.
Yeah, it's a whole different.
It is. Don't.
But it is something that we should talk about more in terms of encouraging people to incorporate this in their lives, and mindfulness, and you do this every day with the jewel, with the positive. You leave positive notes with people, but it is something that we need to do on a regular basis.
But again, just thinking about the kids, you remember when I used to do the girls' workshops around the country?
Schools.
And I mean, going around the country, just this great workshop and going to the parents and letting the parents know. And I'm telling you,
Every time.
inevitably, every time the parents would say, well, the mother would say, "Ooh, can you do something like this for me?" And
Hmm.
it's like, I don't know that I would ever say that if my child is getting a gift, because we would provide it free for them. If
Hmm.
my child is getting a gift, that I would say, well, don't give the gift to my child, give it, and then you
And
won't.
I didn't get it that way. I
How did
thought
you
that
get
this
it?
was I perceived it as this is something that they lacked, and perhaps in partnership with their daughters,
Okay,
they could get that. But
okay,
it is
I
something
received
that
that.
that
I
you
received
provide,
that.
and now that you are giving it to adult women, they're not as receptive as you would think that they would be,
Right, right.
which saddens me. But we're not all strong enough to say, I need help.
Yeah.
And
And
I
but
need,
people love to say when I spread my joy and my happy, well, that's just you. Well, that's
mhm,
just you. Well, you too could be happy if you follow this recipe.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I got just as much messed up stuff in my life as, well, not everybody,
No, you
than a
don't.
lot of people.
You don't.
Hmm. Okay.
You have some messed up stuff, and we all have some messed up stuff. I don't have as much messed up stuff as other people because I'm an orphan. I don't have all of the family drama and stuff that you have. But
Well, the family drama is a lot, but
a lot.
I went to the bank today
Ooh.
and they were not giving out samples.
They didn't give you any samples.
There was no samples to be given.
Oh, sorry.
I love it when you say that.
Well,
Anyway, go
bring
ahead.
me back some samples, please. It's like something my daddy used to say. I
Oh,
don't
did
know.
he? Oh,
Yeah.
that's cute.
I don't know if it's cute or just really corny and stupid because
No,
you look
I
at me
like it.
sometimes and go, really?
No, I love that.
Really?
I love that.
Moving on in the newsletter, it's the beginning of Black History Month, and happy Black History Month to you, Yolanda, and to everybody who's watching. And so take a look at our newsletter. We are endeavoring to share a little bit more of Black history moments with you. And Cameron Riley's story is about Black history in journalism, namely two women who were White
Yeah.
House correspondents, two Black women who were White House correspondents before Black women were in journalism in this way, and especially reporting from the seat of our government, the White House. Their names were Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne. The first Black women to cover the White House are now recognized for their groundbreaking contributions to journalism. In a historic move, Corinne Jean Pierre, the first Black woman to serve as the White House press secretary, dedicated a new lectern in the White House briefing room to commemorate these trailblazing reporters. And just to
Oh,
give you a little idea,
yes, yes.
Alice Dunnigan faced sexism and racism when she became the first Black woman credentialed to join the White House press corps. And she's remembered for her pioneering spirit. On her first day covering the White House, she found herself overlooked by colleagues. And that was in stark contrast to now the legacy of naming the lecterns in her honor, as well as Ethel Payne, who joined Dunnigan on the beat a few years later, and she was there for the Chicago Defender, the historically Black newspaper. And she faced challenges at the White House where, check this out, she was often ignored by the president, Dwight D. Eisenhower. She was ignored. She was like,
Mhm.
I have a question, Mr. President, and I'll take you, and I'll take you, and I'll take you, but not you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And she even faced attempts to revoke her press credentials. Despite these obstacles, she became known as the First Lady of the Black press. And everybody talks about
Ida
Ida
B.
B.
Wells, right.
Wells, and what a great woman she was for her investigative journalism, and that is true. But these women, faced horrific and demeaning and degrading treatment by people every day among their peers as well as the President of the United States.
But Sybil, I can't applaud you enough. And that's what we were saying, what you need to know. This was great to read. This was great to hear about. I didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we need to know. And even the fact that Karen is doing this, the lectures, that seems like a really big deal.
It really
And
is.
they probably made it public. I don't know where Cameron got that from, but I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
But that is something that's going to go down. Like that's major.
Right.
So
Right.
thank you for sharing this with us.
And that's why we need to celebrate these women, and we need to celebrate the women that are doing it now, like my friend April Ryan. That's
Ryan.
a big deal. She's been doing this for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And not that she's been ignored, but she went through a horrific time during the Trump administration where she was disregarded and not treated well by members of his staff, and
Right.
it was a tough time for her. And all of the Black reporters, now um, look up to April because she is such a groundbreaker in that respect as well. So we like to give people their flowers when we can.
Nice.
Uh, and speaking of giving flowers when we can, it was a difficult story for me to talk about these three young Black people who were killed, Army Reserve members who were killed last weekend while they were on duty in Jordan
Right.
at what they call Tower 22. And it's not an area that they talk about a lot. It really kind of flies under the radar because it is so close to Syria and to other dangerous areas in the Middle East. And if not for a serious accident in which a drone was allowed to fly under the radar and mistakenly allowed to come into this area, as they were expecting an American drone to come in at the same time. So somebody was obviously very aware of how this was happening. But this drone that was full of explosives came in and dropped the explosives and killed three young Black reservists, as well as wounded. The number kind of varies, but somewhere in the area of 40 people. Some of the injuries were minor, and others were quite serious with traumatic brain injuries, and some of the people had to be medevaced out. But it's had a profound effect on me, and I don't know why, because we do stories about soldiers and losing. Like there were two Navy SEAL members that went missing a couple of weeks ago. Now they have been regarded as they are believed to be dead.
Right.
And I saw that story, and I was, you just say a prayer and you keep moving. But something about this really touched my heart, and it turns out when I saw the name of one, I said, that
Yeah.
that was my greatest fear, that it was a young Black person.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, it was two young Black women, 23 and 24, could have been our daughters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were specialists. And a young Black man, about 45 years old, uh, he was a sergeant. And to hear their names and to see their faces, and they were friends, these two young women, and so there were pictures of them together. And one of the mothers said, when she spoke to one daughter, the other one was always there. Hey mom, how you
Mhm.
doing, that kind of thing. And to hear the family speaking of them with such love. And one mother said her daughter just lit up the room whenever she came in. And the other, her dad was a Marine veteran, and he called her Munchkin, his Munchkin.
Mm.
And how they were involved in sports in the community and things like that. It didn't get as much information about Sergeant Rivers, but he did. He was originally from New Jersey and then worked out of Georgia, part of the reserve movement there. And so,
And they were reserved.
yeah,
That's
right. Uh,
wow.
and
Oh,
and to hear the president, who knows of loss, call these families, and one of the calls was recorded with the mother and the father, and he lost a baby daughter in an accident with his first wife, and then his son Bo, who was a reservist. Um, he died as a result of brain cancer, and that they believe that he got when he was over serving in the Middle East. And so he knows loss, having lost two children and a wife,
right.
and talking to them and said, and kind of working through. And he said, I know you don't believe me when I tell you this, but there will come a day when you'll walk into a room or you'll open a closet and you'll smell their fragrance or whatever, and the first thing that comes to you will be a smile,
Yeah.
not the need to cry,
Right.
or there's something to hurt your heart. And then he left them with the fact that these young women were being posthumously elevated, and they were both elevated to sergeant status,
Okay.
which is a good thing,
That's
especially as the families are
awesome.
um, laying them to rest. And Friday, the president and the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, who's back at work now, will go, and they will, what they call the dignitary move of accepting the bodies of these people.
As they should.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this really did. I kind of felt for you. And today, being Thursday, it has had a heavy. It has been heavy on you. You've been heavy all week.
Hmm.
And I've kind of just like, whoa. But it started when you sent that first text out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to see anybody die. That is the downside, if I may, of war.
Right.
And so I always pray for the end of violence and war and hunger. But you've always said there will always be wars in the Bible and the rumors of wars,
Yeah.
right? And
And the
so that,
poor amongst us.
yeah, yeah. And so that is reality. But we thank those people for their service and their families who gave their service. And I was so proud. I'm not a sorority woman, but the one of the mothers accepting the call from the president, and her husband was so overcome with tears, and she was sitting there proudly wearing her Delta Sigma
Oh,
Theta
nice.
sweater. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
very nice, and I know that that their daughters are looking over them now.
Right.
So those are the things I wanted to talk about from the newsletter, and we can move on to the what's really going on question of the day.
I
Did
think
you?
we've kind of done that, right?
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I
Okay.
mean, I'm just saying, look at the time. Sybil, you are just, it is just
I
so
know I talk
great.
too much. I know.
No, you don't talk too much. No, you are a great conversationalist. And I could sit and listen to you talk all day.
Well, I don't want you to listen. I'd like to converse. I really
Don't
would.
be like that.
No,
That
no,
is
no, no,
not
no. I'm
nice.
serious. I'm serious. Um, these are things that are in the news. As I mentioned, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, was back at work today, and he apologized publicly for the first time for keeping secret his January hospitalization.
Are you mad at him for that?
I'm disappointed that he felt, he said, and he said, and I don't have the exact words, but he said, and especially as it related to prostate cancer
Right.
and cancer.
Right.
Um, I had hoped that we were past this, but the Secretary of Defense is a 70-year-old black man. And there are certain things, you go into a barbershop, you know that there are conversations, I don't talk about that. That's not my business, but
And so that's a double whammy. They don't talk about stuff, and I can't say this in this house, but 93, 94, 95% of a black man, the longer they live, the more they have a
the
chance,
greater the chances.
yeah, of experiencing some type of
Right.
prostate issues.
Right. I mean, if
That's
the
real.
King of England can say, I'm going in for a prostate issue and it
Yeah.
wasn't cancer, but it's not cancer, but he has an enlarged prostate. So they're going in to take care of it. If he can do that, I commend him for it. And I'm very sorry that the Secretary of Defense could have been, and I hope that he will be a proponent for men getting their checkups and for talking about it to prevent this from happening to
So
other people.
I'm conflicted on that
Okay.
because number one, I'm not sure. I don't have to know everything about you and everything you do. That's
Right.
number
And I
one.
think that's where he stood on that.
Yeah. And I know that his position, but if he covered his position when you off work, as long as you cover your
But
work.
that was the problem. They didn't think that he was covered, that he would, and especially
Well, he
not,
said he left
he
somebody
let,
in charge.
yeah, he did. And they did. But the thing was not letting your boss know.
Well, that's true. You get an infraction for that. You get
And
an infraction
especially
for
when
not
your boss is the president of the United States.
right. No, you're right about that. And I get that, but I just think that we got to know everything about you. And I
And
just
and Yolanda, it wouldn't have been so bad if he had, told him about the prostate cancer and say, Mr. President, I don't want everybody to know my business, but you and I are boys, so I can tell you.
right.
And so he tells him, and I'm sure the president, he might have slipped. Okay. He might have
Silly
slipped and
girl.
told somebody, told Dr. Jill or somebody, and somebody would have said something to somebody else.
Silly.
But his heart is good, and you
But
gotta
he's
tell
not used to the
Mr.
the he
President.
don't understand that. He don't
Right,
understand. He's
right.
silly.
Like President Obama would have understood. Mr. Obama,
Right.
I need you to just keep
Right.
this between us.
Right. But the second thing,
But the
Sybil,
second thing, the complications, that's
right.
what really, he was so ill that an assistant had to call the ambulance and ask, and the assistant asked that they not use the bells and the whistles, the alarms, and all of that as they're coming into their residential area. But the other question is, I'm not even going to ask the other question. I'm not even
Ooh,
going to ask it.
I can't wait till this is over with because I got to know what the other question is.
Okay. So I'm glad that he said that he's still going through rehab and that he is.
But on that note, why? What if his what if it's not his agenda? Because a lot of people say, well, he could be a spokesperson
Right,
for prostate. What if he don't want to be the spokesperson
right.
what if he want to be the spokesperson for the homeless or foster
That's
kids
fine. That's
or
fine.
for
Yeah,
why
yeah.
does his mission have to be
Have
what you
to
think
be.
it should
Yes,
be?
and it's kind of forced on him now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um.
There's a lot of causes out there that he might be doing.
Yeah.
That who are we to say what somebody should be championing? And the reason why I'm a little resentment from that is because it's PTSD from working with Tom Joyner and being Tom Joyner's right hand person for years. People used to always say, "Well, Tom
Tom
should,"
should. Yeah.
and especially where Tom should put his money.
Right. But you were good for that.
Well, and I
Not with
was
Tom's
right.
money, but
But who's the who? Anyway, go to the next. What else happening? What else trending?
So child tax credit expansion faces an uncertain path. It looked like it was going very well, but it's in the Senate after the House passed the bill by a vote of 357 to 70, earning more support from Democrats, as you might expect, than Republicans. And next up to the Senate, where 60 votes would be needed to send the bill to President Biden's desk. But it's not going along so well with the Senate, and it may not get the 60 votes that are needed. So the president might have to sign an executive order, maybe in order to get this. But the child credit tax is very important, and expanding that in this time when not everyone is working,
Right.
not everyone is able to take care of their children like they were able to before the pandemic, and even now when even though inflation is lower, the prices are not.
But they're going. There's a well, because we get these reports. It's going down.
It
Gas
is,
is going
but
down. It's going down. But I tell you, Sybil, I'm not on social media, and I have to remind myself to go on Instagram, to check your Instagram, what you're doing. I don't care what people are doing in their lives, but somebody who I do care about is Plies, and I'm
oh yeah,
telling
you
you,
love him.
everybody need to go see his latest post. Sybil, it is brilliant, where he tells President Biden and Vice President Harris that they need to learn how to brag. And it was just
Yeah, that
great
people.
how,
He's
how
not the
he,
first person to do that.
but,
He's
but the
absolutely
way
right.
that he did it, the way that he did it, we will get. He
Right,
breaks down how the student loan forgiveness, how
right.
inflation is going down, how the food prices are going down, how the gas is going down, and the healthcare. He
Yeah,
breaks
how
down
Mima doesn't have to worry about her diabetes medicine being
medicine
over
and
$35. Right,
yes,
right.
and he was very specific about what they have done. Just the way I mean, when you get a chance, go check that out.
I can't check it right now, huh?
Well, no,
Okay.
no, don't do it now because we gotta go. We got somewhere to
Okay.
go.
Okay. Okay. So
You're
take a
so
look.
funny.
um, so take a look at these things. And the last thing I want to leave with people before we do the Yogi's Jewel is to remind people Saturday is election day in South Carolina. This
Mhm.
is the first Democratic primary of the season. And this was where Joe Biden was given the energy because of the vote of Black people in South Carolina at the encouragement of Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina, to encourage Black folks to go out and vote for Joe Biden. And this gave him the gas, if you will, just pushed him to the front of the line. And then he started to roll as all the Super Tuesday primaries and all of the other primaries kind of rolled in, and it was able to get the number of votes that he needed in order to secure the nomination. Um, this is really important, and
So
especially at this time.
it was this time 4 years ago that happened.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes. But it's really important that we talk about encouraging our young people to register and to vote. Young people, uh, overall, Black people are not feeling Joe Biden. And as Ply said, you have to, let
That's
them
because they
know
don't know.
why,
Right.
why he's been so good for Black people.
Right.
In eliminating student debt, in lowering price of diabetes medicine, and all of the things that he's done in terms of keeping a hold on inflation and encouraging people to hire and things like this. So all these things we need to talk about with our young people and also have the discussion that if you don't agree with him about the way the Palestinians are being treated, the answer is not to not vote.
Right.
The answer is to let's have that discussion and let that not be the one thing that's going to keep you from making a difference or
Mhm.
from endangering a second term for Joe Biden and the first Black woman to sit as vice president, who
Amen.
gave us the first Black woman to sit on the United States Supreme Court,
Mm. Brag about
who
it.
gave us the first defense secretary, Black man, as a defense secretary. We can go through all of the number of Black people that he's put on the judiciary who are now making a difference in some cases that we're hearing about.
Yep. Well,
So
Ply said that he needs a rapper as a friend to teach him how to brag.
we should get him on, Yolanda.
Girl, I wish. Hmm. Hmm. I'm trying to work on some stuff with the American Heart Association, but I see what you're talking about. I should turn my focus.
You can do it both. You can do
And
both of them. Yes, absolutely.
then when am I gonna watch Gunsmoke?
Um, at 3 o'clock in the morning when you normally do.
I can't stand you.
That's when you watch it.
That's so true.
As we close out, because we are closing out and we do have an important event to get to. Yolanda, would you share with us the jewel?
Yes, this week is about intention.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is living with intention requires dedication and commitment. So I shared this jewel with the young ladies. As a matter of fact, the young girl who was doing my hair, and I think she's like 24, 25. And we were talking about intention. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm sharing this week. And so when I read it to her and I said dedication and commitment, but Sybil, action.
Action.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your intention is great, but you
And
got to put some action. You got to be
action behind
dedicated.
it.
You got to put some action behind that.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the jewel.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Aprylete, we missed you. We look forward to having you with us next week. And go out there and be good to each other, please.
Okay. Peace to you.
Yeah, very much.